Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Let me start off by saying congratulations.
Thank you.
And asking, how did you even receive that news? What did it mean to you?
Thank you very much, Onye and CNBC. Pleasure being here. It was I wouldn't say shocking, but it was surprising because I didn't even think that at this stage we would be able to get in, to be a member of the academy. I know we've been under the radar for a bit, but I didn't know that as soon as this time we would be able to get in. So of course, it was very exciting.
But when you talk about the fact that you didn't realize that at this stage, what stage are you referring to? Are you saying we haven't perfected the art? What is it? What's the criteria?
Well, we have, but then you would realize that, or you'd have noticed that we've not been able to send our movies in to for the Oscars, and that's also because of the format that we shoot on. Even though Hollywood is changing its format now to digital, it's still taking a while, and so we've not, unlike South Africa, unfortunately, we've not been able to send in our movies for the Oscars. So I didn't think they will, take us that seriously on that side, that is, but they do, obviously, and I actually just discovered recently that there's actually something called the Student Oscars. I had never heard about it. I was put on the panel to be one of the voting members of that as well from inside, and I said, I'm going to blow this open. Everybody needs to know this.
How does that work, really?
Surprising, and it's been there forever. I mean, Spike Lee won that in, I think, 1978. So I'm like, how do we not know this? So if you're a student and you're actually studying film, you actually can send in, if you're in America or if you're international, you can send in your movies, maybe your student movies or whatever, for the student Oscars.
Yes.
And so I want to find out exactly how this really works, and I hope we can take advantage of it in Nigeria.
I bet we will take advantage of it in the country. Now, talking about, of course, about quality, and you just mentioned something key. There's a possibility, we're not sending our films owing to the format in which we should. But besides formats, let's take a look at the storyline itself.
Right.
Do you think we have what it takes to get on the international scene? And what do you think is holding us back, really?
We do. I think what's holding us back is finance, really. These are big budget movies. Even though sometimes in Nollywood we've found ways around these things. Just, we do movies sometimes with very little funds, and then you look at it and you can't guess. But when you're going on that level and you're going to send in your movie for the Oscars, especially if you're going in, say for example, the international category, you're competing with movies from places like France, from Spain, and these are big budget productions. Also, a lot of people don't understand that apart from sending in your movie for the Oscars, how much you have spent on, you have to actually promote the movie, and you have to spend a lot of money getting it in and, promoting it and getting it known. So sometimes also the problem with Nollywood is that we don't have enough funds for the back end, to do what is necessary for the movie to be known and to be seen around the world. And so that's why I'm calling on investors. People really need to understand that movie making is a money.
Why do you think they're shying away, really? Why do you think investors are shying away from investing?
Investors are investing, it's just probably not the right ones. I mean, for a very long time, we knew that the marketers, the traders, were the ones sustaining Nollywood, and they did a very great job, I have to say. Kudos to those guys. Not for them, a lot of us would have gone into something else or whatever. They sustained the industry. Now, we are in the era of, the cinema. Okay, so I like to say the movie is starting all over again. The industry is starting all over again on another format. It's another mode of distribution or something now. And so this format actually requires a lot of money because we're talking about box office and stuff like that. And you're competing with international movies. When you go to the cinema, they don't care that, you are Nollywood or you did your own movie with X amount of money. You are competing on the same stage with international productions that a lot of money and time and all of that has gone into. And so until investors, like serious-minded investors who invest in other industries, start to see this as serious money and they start to see the figures. I mean, talk to people like Kene Moses and all of them, even Ben Bruce's Cinema and Genesis and the rest of them, and they'll tell you how good and how well Nollywood is doing these days. I mean, we're talking about, and this is just for how many screens, compared to Hollywood, who's got thousands.
It's interesting you should mention the marketers who actually held the industry, way back and even till now. But I want to find out, so who are the investors today? Do we still have the marketers playing a major role, or do you see the big corporates stepping in little by little? Because honestly, when I take a look at movies on DSTV, you can always tell that difference between, I call it the old Nollywood and the new Nollywood. You can see that gloss in terms of storytelling, the shots, there's a bit of perfection that we see compared to what we had in the past. Do you think that's because we have new investors who are dropping the kind of money we want now to enable, the crew get the equipment they want and, of course, even afford the kind of actresses that they want in that movie? Or is it just still the same old players within this industry?
Nothing has changed with the actors or anything. Really? If anything, you had better actors then, I think.
Oh, really?
But, as time goes on, naturally, things will get better. You can't compare the kind of cameras that were available then to the ones that are available now. Everything's gotten better. You have better digital cameras, HD and stuff like that. Even with the lights, look at the lights you use in the studio. Some years ago, they were not available. So naturally, as time goes on, things are being perfected. You have better cameras, you have better quality. So yes, it will be glossier or it will be sharper, let me say, yes, because now you have better equipment and stuff. And a lot of people are going to school now. I always advocate that anyone who's going to be behind the camera has to go to film school, because you're not just a talent. You're doing something more technical. You need to understand what the sharp practices are, what are the new things, in the industry that, so a lot of people are going to school and they're investing in that, and then they're coming back and they're, carrying their other colleagues along. So in all, the human infrastructure is getting better. The problem we have, like you've said, is now the capacity, and all of that stuff. And so now we're having people from the corporate world coming in. Not enough, and not seriously enough. We need to also have good infrastructure, like in the sense that, the guilds need to be stronger, there needs to be more data, there needs to be grants, and people need to be held accountable for the grant. The grants that we've had in Nollywood in time past have been very political, unfortunately. They've been very political in the sense that even the people who go for the grants actually know that they're probably not going to be held responsible for them, and everything, and things are not done properly. Actors and filmmakers need to also understand that royalties is very important. You see some producers today tell you, I can't sign to give you royalties or anything because, the market is not good. I say to them, sign it. Put it in your contract, even if you're not going to pay it. It gives the actor a sense of belonging. It's some kind of structure. I did a movie a long time ago, and it was a SAG movie. And the studio was not going to allow actors not have that in their contract. Now, that's how you know a society or a body that is responsible.
But then you've mentioned the body needs to come together. Nollywood really needs to organize themselves.
Yes, and we need to start taking responsibility, and we need to stop acting like, I'm trying to rip you off, because that's not what it's about. If you want the international community to take you seriously, there must be things that are put in contracts and in place to show that you care for everyone, even to your gaffers and stuff like that. They need to know that they're part of the business and that